If you've experienced this situation, maybe you started dating someone new, you weren't really sure about them at first, but then as you got to talk to them a little bit more, they were pursuing you. They kept texting you. They kept asking you out to dates. They kept calling you and just wanting to be with you all the time. And you were seeing them almost every single day, maybe sleeping over a lot of the days. And you would catch yourself sometimes and ask yourself, whoa, is this moving too fast or is this love? And you convinced yourself that it is love. And so I'm just going to let go and just give up all control and surrender to this moment because it's so amazing. And once you did that, it was good for a little bit longer. And then all of a sudden, the person that you were dating started to change. They started to not text you as much. They started to not ask you out on as many dates. Maybe they weren't really putting effort in. They weren't planning anything. And it just felt like when you were with them, they didn't really want to talk to you. It's like you're talking to a wall, or they just had better things to do and they were hanging out with their friends that they never hang out with and you weren't invited to things anymore. And it just felt really weird. And then all of a sudden one day, they just texted you this long paragraph message that said, I'm breaking up with you, but they never actually said the words, I'm breaking up with you. They just sent the long paragraph, hoping you would understand. And when you received that message, you didn't know what to do. You were like, is this real? And everything that you envisioned for the future, because that person you were dating also planted a lot of seeds in your mind of, oh, we're going to be together forever. This is my person. We're going to get the house, the fence, the dog, the kids, the everything. We're going to be happy forever. And you were kind of like, you know what? That sounds great. I want a piece of that. And so you kept envisioning that. The vision got stronger and stronger and stronger until you received that message. And then you're like, okay, wait, what? You didn't think you were going to wake up that day, receive a message, and then have to rewrite your entire life plan, right? So if that sounds like your situation, first of all, you are stronger than you think you are, okay? I wish I could have told myself that when I was going through that same exact situation about 3.5, 4 years ago. I was in such a negative and shocked place that I did not know how to function. I didn't know how to operate. I didn't know what my next step should be because I was feeling a cocktail of emotions that I did not want to experience. In this episode, I want to talk to you about why avoidantly attached people lead you on and then drop you when you least expect it. If I learned anything from that experience all of those years ago, I learned that every relationship teaches you something, and everyone has an attachment style that changes. You could have a couple of attachment styles as well. The people that come into your life that you create and form relationships with, those people could trigger you in certain ways that will help you or steer you towards the avoidant or anxious or secure attachment style, okay? And your attachment style is formed typically when you're younger or within your first love relationship or your first friendship breakup or whatever it is. I learned a lot from that relationship, and I also learned to be way more aware of myself and what I want in my next relationship. And hence, that's how I attracted my amazing boyfriend that I have now. Hi, you guys. Welcome back to another episode of the New Day with Natalie podcast. I am your host, Natalie Louise. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the 3 reasons why avoidantly attached people will lead you on and then drop you. The first one is because avoidantly attached people fear intimacy. Now, you're probably like, that's not true, because when I first met them, we were very much intimate and we had very intimate conversations. So that's not true at all. And so here's the thing. When you first start dating someone with an avoidant attachment style, you guys don't know each other on a deep level at all. Also, there are no commitments. There's very low pressure, right? Because it's just someone new. You might be hooking up, you might be going on dates, you might be texting a lot, but if you were dating someone else or you found out they were dating someone else, you'd probably be sad, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. Why? Because it was a casual relationship. When we place this label on a relationship, casual or short term or just a hookup, that just means it's not committed long term. When your relationships switch from switches from a casual hookup to a long-term commitment to I see a future and a lifetime with this person, the stakes begin to change, right? And you start to become emotionally intimate on a deeper level, because the longer you're with someone, the more you know about them, the closer you get to them. So that's why the beginning of your relationship felt so easy and fresh and fun, because it was exciting, it was thrilling. It's like you're opening a package and you're like, what's inside? Because you're getting to know each other, okay? And you're getting to know the good sides of each other and the bad sides of each other. Every time you see each other, it's like your heart starts pounding. It's like, they're back. Oh my God, you get a text from them. Oh my God, they're back. But when you start to spend so much time together that it starts to feel like this is a real relationship, there's a lot of commitment here. There's a lot more responsibility that has to be put into this relationship versus another short-term fling that ends in a couple of weeks. This is a long-term thing. Think about it like this. I just had this idea. It's like an internship versus a full-time job, okay? For an internship, if you've ever had one, a lot of times people don't put a lot of effort into the internship. If you want to get a full-time job out of the internship, you might work really hard. It's like, oh shit, like I want to work here forever. I want to get I want to secure my first job out of college. Like I got to put in all this effort. But if you don't really want to work there full-time, the internship is more just for experience. It's just so that you can put something on your resume and say, listen, I was here, I worked here, it was great, then I left. Then it was the end of the internship. It was short term, it was fun, and then I was out, okay? A full-time job means you are committed. You are there every day. It is long term. You have to be, you're responsible for so many things. You have to show up every day in a way that people respect you, that people trust you, right? So it's like you put so much more energy into that full-time job, okay? So what's going on is your avoidant partner might have viewed your initial relationship as an internship that they didn't want to work at full time. Let that sink in. And then when they realized, you know what, I think I do want to work here full time, they took that internship, switched it around, and started putting in more effort. Started realizing, I like you. I like being with you. I want to be with you long term. That's when things started shifting. Does that make sense? And then it turned into a full-time job. And as you know, a full-time job has a lot of responsibility, a lot of stress, and a lot of commitment, which can make you feel stressed a lot of times. So maybe that's what's going on with your avoidant partner, right? Now, on top of all those things, you have to add on the layer of intimacy. Intimacy means you have to be vulnerable. If you are vulnerable with your partner, it means they see all sides of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But to someone with an avoidantly attachment style, it's uncomfortable to show all sides of you because it makes you feel weak if they use those things against you. So having too much emotional connection, too much intimacy, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of the things, it can make the avoidantly attached person feel like they have lost control and make them feel like they are just floating and they have no control over the situation. The other thing is avoidantly attached people can feel threatened if you want to get too intimate with them, like bring it to the level that it once was at the beginning of the relationship. They could feel like, whoa, why are you trying to get into my space, into my world? Why are you trying to get to know all of my secrets? Are you trying to use this against me? Are you trying to blame me for something? It could trigger them and bring them back to their childhood when the same thing happened. Just because an avoidantly attached person fears intimacy, it doesn't mean they fear being in a relationship with you. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It means they are just very uncomfortable with being vulnerable, just vulnerability in general. And so the key is, maybe I should make another episode on how to encourage your avoidant partner not to drop you. Leave a comment down below and then I'll work on that. The key is to make your avoidant partner feel safe in the relationship, because they make you feel safe in the relationship, right? Hopefully. And so it's your job to make them feel safe in the relationship too. Another reason why avoidantly attached people will lead you on and then drop you is because they are seeking validation from you, not true connection. Avoidantly attached people are often mistaken for narcissists or people that have a really big ego and that are perfectionists. I have to tell you guys a lot of times that no, your avoidant partner is not a narcissist. So if you weren't aware, there is a narcissism scale. There's either like the low side where you have a couple of traits of someone with a narcissistic disorder, or you could fall on the right side where you have extreme traits, like multiple traits of someone with a narcissistic disorder. If you are on the low side of narcissism, that means you have healthy confidence, right? Like you love yourself, you're confident, and you have a high self-worth, high self-esteem. A lot of people fall on this side, right? They feel good about themselves most of the time, and that's what matters. They are genuine and they have empathy for other people. Then as you fall in the middle, so in the middle scale of narcissism, this would be considered moderate narcissism, okay? This would be anyone that is very ambitious, but also very competitive. These type of people can take criticism, but they are very defensive at times. They enjoy attention and praise, but they don't need it to feel good about themselves. Those people can also seem very self-centered and almost seem like they have a big ego, but it's really just because they're confident. So that truly is where most avoidants lie, right in the middle of the scale. Then as we go all the way to the right side, which is the extreme high narcissistic individual that has a ton of narcissistic traits, this is definitely more of a problematic behavior. Those type of people feel superior and crave attention from other people. Those type of people also have to seek validation constantly. And if they're not getting the validation they need, they will manipulate and use toxic strategies in order to get it from other people. They are definitely charmers. They're amazing at manipulation in order to get what they want and get their way. They lack true empathy within a relationship. So they really don't care about you at all. It's all about getting what they need out of their relationship. So I wanted to bring that up because a lot of you guys say like my avoidant is a narcissist. And the thing is, like, I guess they're on the scale, but where on the scale? That's something really important to indicate. So depending on where your avoidant partner lies on the scale, they might be seeking attention. They might be seeking validation. They might be seeking reassurance from you in the relationship, and it makes them feel really good. Because a lot of times avoidantly attached people are lone wolves. That's what they call themselves, where they're spending so much time alone and that no one understands them, no one gets them, and they don't really want to spend time with other people because no one gets them. But when you come along and you get them and you make them feel good and you validate them, like if you tell them like, wow, it's so cool what you've accomplished in life. It's so cool how much money you have. It's so cool your outfits that you wear. Like you're so great with other people. You're so good at conversation. You're always the star of the show. Like if you say those things because you love them and you just want them to know, that is the validation that they seek from you and it makes them feel good. Okay. So what might be happening is in your relationship, they have led you on because they really did enjoy being with you. They enjoyed hanging out with you, but maybe they didn't see the relationship going into the future. All they wanted was to feel good about themselves because they have a lot of broken parts and you kind of put them back together until it got too much, until it got to the point of this is too serious. You wanted something that I don't want. And then that's why they drop you. Does that make sense? So they're not seeking a long-term relationship. It's almost like mix-matched goals. Does that make sense? Once they basically got what they wanted from you, which is the validation, which is feeling like you've surrendered yourself to them because they're so amazing, then they said to themselves, well, there's nothing else to take. You gave me everything, so now I'm going to leave, right? Because there was nothing else to build. They don't want to deepen the relationship more because they got what they want, right? So again, if that avoidantly attached person was on the narcissistic scale, they would probably lean more towards the right. But most avoidantly attached people that I work with and that I hear from your stories, it sounds like they lie right in the middle or towards the lower side of the narcissistic scale. But do your own research on that and see if I'm wrong, depending on your situation. The last reason why avoidantly attached people will lead you on and then drop you is because they experienced emotional overload within the relationship and they decided the best thing for them to do is leave the scene, exit, so that they can feel like they are in control again, so that they can feel like they are not bombarded with your emotions. Because to an avoidantly attached person, emotions are bad and scary and unsteady. Okay. And so to someone that literally needs control in order to feel safe, emotions or an emotional person is not steady, is not safe, is not something they have control over. Does that make sense? So when you start to get too emotional, I love being with you. Oh, last night was so much fun. I'm glad that we did that. I can't wait to see you again. I love when you kiss me. I love when you touch me. I miss you so much. I can't wait to see you again. When you start saying things like that, which again is very normal in a relationship, but to someone with an avoidant attachment style, it can be really scary. It can be intimidating. It could be a threat. So that could feel like emotional overload. They don't know what to do. It makes them feel like you have chosen them and now they can't get out. They are stuck. It makes them feel like they're in a room that they can't get out of, and it's scary. It's uncomfortable. So what they do is distance themselves from you physically so that they can recharge and feel safe again. Does that make sense? It's basically like if they experience emotional overload, the avoidant will withdraw from the relationship. Because when they were younger and they experienced emotional overload, maybe their parents got mad at them, they yelled at them for doing something they shouldn't have done. The avoidant realized, I don't want that to happen again. And so to protect themselves when they were a little boy or a little girl, they decided to just go to their room or go outside or just figure it out themselves, not ask their parents, not risk being yelled at. So I'll just figure it out on my own. And so when they learned that pattern and how it worked when they were younger, they're like, great, I'm going to keep doing this. It's great. So they continue that pattern into their adult relationship. So even though you're not yelling at them and blaming them for something that they didn't do, having someone that's emotional still triggers that thought of, oh my gosh, I remember when I was in a similar experience when I was younger, right? And again, this is all on a subconscious level. They're not consciously thinking, I remember in April of 1972 when I was only 5 years old and I felt like my parents didn't want anything to do with me. That's not what's happening, okay? It's all subconscious. It's a pattern that a lot of times people don't catch. And that's why your attachment style can really turn into overdrive. And like the anxiety, if you're on the anxious side, can make you feel like, oh my God, why don't they like me? Oh my God, I'm like all these crazy thoughts. And then the avoidant side, it can turn into overdrive when they're distancing themselves and they're like, why am I like this? No one wants to be with me. Like I'll never date anyone. I'll just be single forever. This is just who I am. It's not you, it's me. All of the things, okay? And so simply they decide to end the relationship because that is the only thing they can control, you. If they have all these other things going on in their world and you are the only one that's making them really stressed out, really overwhelmed, it's really easy to just be like, okay, I choose you to remove from my life. Everything else will keep. If it gets bad, I'll remove something else. But relationships to the avoidantly attached person, it's an easy piece to drop and find a new one. Okay. It's like rinse and repeat. And that's why so many avoidantly attached people find themselves in this cycle, because when they find a new person, they do the same thing again because the emotional intensity builds and they freak out, they distance, they break up, and they tell themselves, this is who I am. It's always like this. And they confirm this identity that they developed, even though it's not. You can break out of the cycle. You can choose to be in a healthy relationship. You can choose to sit with the uncomfortable feeling and just sit until it passes and then realize that you're still alive. Okay. And that goes for anxiously attached people too, but right now we're talking about avoidance. Okay. So to recap, the 3 reasons why avoidantly attached people will lead you on and then drop you is because they fear intimacy. They seek validation over connection, or there might be mixed matched long-term goals, like short-term relationship versus long-term relationship, which you want. And then number 3, emotional overload. So they seek avoidance or they seek withdrawal, okay, from the relationship. The most important thing to remember is the avoidantly attached person's behavior is not directly correlated to how much they love you and care about you. They're not distancing themselves because they hate you and they fell out of love with you. They're distancing themselves most likely and dropping you and breaking up with you because they need to find themselves again. They need to find control. They need to find safety. And the only way they think they can do that is by ending the relationship. So that's why they say it's not you, it's me. That's truly why they say it. And so the best thing that I could tell you is if you're in a relationship with an avoidant and this you feel like is happening to you, or it might happen again in your next relationship, use boundaries. Set very clear boundaries for yourself so that you feel protected and safe in the relationship, okay? So that is it for this episode, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys have a very specific relationship issue and you want to share your story with me and get my advice, feel free to sign up for a one-on-one coaching call down below. I also wrote a book called How to Get Over Your Avoidant Ex and Become Securely Attached. I will leave the link for that one down below as well. That is it for today, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.